Fishing is a simple pleasure, really. One that makes us feel connected, makes us feel alive. And when your line tightens and your rod bends, it doesn't matter if you're a 6-year-old or a tournament pro. That buzz of excitement hits us all the same way. It's the moment we live for.
Give me some.
More than 50 years ago, we wanted to change the way people fish, moving off the shoreline to where we knew the fish were larger and much more fun to catch on light tackle. So we gave fishermen the ability to see individual fish under the boat. Ever since the little green box, Lowrance has been driven to bring innovative products that provide real benefits to anglers.
Today, Lowrance continues to build on its heritage of innovation and enhance its reputation for success, helping regular folks catch more fish and tournament pros capture more championships. It's a fact. More pro anglers count on Lowrance sonar and chart plotter products than any other brand.
Folks at home.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
And as you might expect, there's a darn good reason for that.
You know, I remember the first time I ever caught a bass on an artificial lure. I was 12 years old in the Pocono Mountains. I walked to the end of the dock. I threw a topwater lure out, twitched it a couple times, and a 3-pound bass came up and exploded on this thing. My heart was pounding, I was breathing heavy. The minute I landed that fish, it was the most exciting thing that ever happened.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to FishTec Live Season 2 Episode 7. Wow, it's been 18 months now since we've been running this FishTec Live every second Tuesday of the month between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night. So everybody, welcome. Bit of a slow start. Chad Mills, good evening. Frickie, hello Frickie, how you doing? Guys, tonight we're not going to be dealing with specific dams. We're not going to be talking about theories and whatnot about contour lines and how to understand them. We're going to be talking specifically on how to use and understand the FishTec charts particularly. And hopefully by the end of tonight, you guys are going to understand exactly how to get the maximum out of your charts. Guys, I want to stress it's very important that there's going to be some variations in the various charts. I have built the charts slightly differently over time, so you will have to take as much as you can from this sample that we use tonight and apply that to your specific charts. So guys, let me just get this up and running. I had to reboot the unit as the show started because it wouldn't see on the Wi-Fi, it wouldn't link to my my viewer that I'm going to have behind me. So there we go. I just want to get the unit up and running. Sorry about this, guys. Like I say, I think I say it every single show. I say nothing like live. Nothing goes quite to plan. There's always a little glitch. So yeah, let's get going. Jason Rediger, good evening. Welcome to the show. Guys, let me just change my background here. I'm going to change this to let's merge that into there. Okay, too many of me. Okay, what I've done tonight, you'll see the layout of the screen is a little bit different. I've always somehow cut out the menu on the right hand side, and then the guys will contact me that evening or the following days after the show and say, geez, we couldn't see what you were doing in the menu on the side. And then I do it again the next week, I mean the next month. So I really apologize. So hopefully you guys can see the full screen with the menu down the right hand side. Guys, when you first buy your Lawrence unit, whether it's HDS or an Elite TI, remember my FishTec charts only work on Lawrence HDS from generation 2, even the old button unit, yes, the little HDS 5 generation 2, it does work on that. How do you know if a unit is a generation 1 or a generation 2? Guys, on the top of the screen, you'll see there's the display. On top, it says Lawrence. If the Lawrence is in gray, oh, sorry, bad news. That was the old generation 1. It was the stepping stone from the LCX and LMS range into what we know, what we use now, and just have become so used to this whole new world of HDS and multi-source mapping and chirp and high definition side scan and all these wonderful things. But the old process of the generation 1 just couldn't handle it, and that was one of the biggest things that they did with the generation 2. They put in a smacker of a processor into it, and away it goes. Recently, I found when it comes to charts and whatever I'm doing at the moment, I find from a speed perspective, I find the Carbon, the latest unit, the Carbon, and the Elite TI are running very much on the same speed. I cannot tell the difference. Maybe some of you can tell the difference, but I cannot tell the difference. The biggest difference you'll notice with the Carbon units, however, is the super high resolution screen. And of course, it's a glass screen as opposed to a plastic screen, which does give it more of a bang, and the colors just stand out that much better because of the glass screen, and you've got a wider coverage viewability with a Polaroid pair of sunglasses on. So yeah, but Elite TI, you're good to go. Any of the HDSs from a generation 2, good to go. So as long as you've got that, we are on track. Guys, like I said, when you get the unit, you're going to power it up and this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a chart of roughly where you are, or your local dam, and you're going to, let's put this under here. This is the Lawrence. This is under chart source. Remember, we're talking about how the charts work tonight. Did you notice how I'm just flicking through the menu? I don't want to do that. I want to tell you what I'm doing. The first thing I'm pushing is I'm pushing chart options. Okay. Then I'm going down to chart source. Okay. So remember, once you're on pages, if you're not on the chart, remember, click on chart only. There it is there. And before you do that, if you're sitting at home and you're playing with the unit and you're working with it, remember guys, you want to turn look ahead off. That must be off. And your orientation must be north up. North up is how you and I and everybody else in the world looks at Google Earth. We don't want to look at Google Earth with it spinning around and all sorts of angles. It's very difficult to familiarize yourself with where you are. Who's just joined us? Matthias Rybnowski. Apologies for my pronunciation. He's from Poland. Good evening. Welcome. Yeah, so guys, so you're going to be using north up. That's where your chart's going to be. In this case, after you've done the orientation of the chart, remember this is stock standard, how your unit comes out the box. This is how it should be. If you're getting anything different to what we're seeing here, remember, just hit your pages button, go to settings, go to restore defaults. You see it there on the right hand side. Look down the screen. I don't know how to, no, I can't get my finger there. Anyway, you go to restore defaults and get it back to standard. You might have changed something along the way, but anyway, let's turn that off. In fact, what I want to do is I want to turn that beeping off so it doesn't interfere with the show tonight. So we're going to turn that to quiet. Then you won't have that beeping. There we go. Okay, so then what we're going to do is you're going to go to chart source. You haven't bought any charts. These are stock standard charts. And you're going to be so excited. You got your chart plotter and you want to go and see this where your favorite dam is. And you're going to zoom in and you zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and nada. And then you're very sad, because there's nothing there. Then you see Navionics. Now you've heard Navionics is a good thing. Now that is some really lovely information. So let's have a look at that. We're going to click on Navionics. And boom, there we go. That's a lot more information. Now you reckon, now we're talking, now we're talking. Now we're going to get some lovely information. And you're going to go to your local dam and you're going to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in. And nada. Again, Not too exciting. But, alas, we have another chart option under sources. Excuse me. CMAP Demo 0.36. This is something quite new. Obviously, CMAP has joined in. It used to be Insight Genesis. Now it's CMAP Genesis, you know, the free social mapping side of the whole thing, which we've discussed before. We're not going to be talking about that tonight. But let's see what we get for South Africa for our CMAP. Let's zoom out for the whole of South Africa. Let's see what's going on here. CMAP Demo 36. And we get that. And then you zoom in and zoom in. And you get that. Reminds me a little bit of the 360. But anyway, let's not slide down that path. Back to chart options. We're going to go, okay. Then you're going to say, hey, I've spent all this money on this lovely piece of equipment. Man, I need charts. Where are the charts? We're talking about FishTec charts tonight. That's what you're going to buy. You're going to buy this little box. Okay. You can go onto our website and you can see what coverage we've got, what charts are available for the various dams around the country, and you're going to end up, when you place your order, you're going to get a little box like this, and inside you're going to get a memory card, little memory card like that, or you can use an adapter. Can you see there? There's the adapter, there's the little one. Can I tell you how many people receive their charts like this and they say to me, John, I've bought my charts, you've sent me the wrong card. My Gen 3 and my Carbon and my Elite TI doesn't take the old memory card. Can you please send me the small one? I say, no problem. Have you got the card in your hand? Yes, I do. Take your nail, grab there, and pull the micro SD out of the standard SD adapter. Job done. Highball. Pop the chart in. You'll see at the bottom. Oh, you can't see it. It's actually cut off. There's a little thing at the bottom that says loading charts. Now, guys, I get a lot of people saying, I bought the charts from you, but why do these things keep coming up? Do you wish to change chart data selection to view the inserted charts? And why do all the, and I say yes, yes, and it keeps repeating itself. Guys, for every time that you say yes, it's like you're taking another card and putting in a whole new chart. So as annoying as it might be initially when you're firing the unit up for the first time for the day, remember, every time you say yes, it's like you're putting in another chart, more information. And remember, today, information is key. So you say yes, yes, and you say yes to all of them. On the Northern Provinces chart, however, on our Northern Provinces sediment chart, there'll come all the various dams. Rhodocopes, this, that, the next. If you're on a specific dam, you don't have to say yes to all the others, but I do recommend say yes to that dam, yes to sediment, and yes to satellite. Do that. The rest, you don't necessarily have to. We're going to say yes, yes, yes. In this case here, let's start with something we all know. Let's look at the satellite view, and you're going to zoom in. Now you've got this satellite view, your chart that you've just bought. Let me just have a look here quickly. Reynard Duplessis, good evening, Reynard. How are you doing? I see you had a lovely weekend at Inanda Dam. Geez, that looked like fun, man. Camping in your van with the kids. Awesome. Jeff Kramer says, will CMAP work with the elites or only with the HDS? Jeff, CMAP, if you're talking about CMAP Genesis will work from the old elite, the old hook, the new hook 2, the HDS, not the HDS Gen 1, HDS Gen 2 only, touch, carbon, elite TI. So yes, CMAP will work. Yes, sorry, and then you answered your own question. Sorry, I didn't see that. So yeah, it definitely will do. Now what happens is you end up in a situation like this where you've selected, remember all these lists down, you get down these charts you get down the side here: aerial HD, sediment, ultra HF east, contours, elevation, except T's and C's. So these are all, each one is a different chart, remember. So now we got satellite, and you say, but where is the satellite view? You'll see there's a little piece of paper that comes with your chart, and what that thing tells you is, go back to your chart options, tap on view, go to photo overlay, and put it on full. Voila, there it is. Now it's on. Remember, photo overlay. Photo overlay is anything to do with imagery, your mosaics, your sediments. That is photo overlays, or otherwise known as raster data. Okay, anything that is to do with isobaths or contours is regarded as vector data, and that we're going to explain tonight. So with our satellite chart, do we have any contours? No, we don't. We've gone into our categories. Remember, get very comfortable with the categories menu. So it's chart options, view, categories. You're going to use categories a lot. So become comfortable with categories, and they vary from chart to chart. Like for instance here, we've got lines turned on, we've got points turned on, but guess what? There's nothing. And why is there nothing? Because the satellite chart for Inanda Dam specifically, other charts might be different, so you better go and check. But this one that I'm dealing with tonight, Inanda, I have not given it contours, and I have not given it isobaths or anything like that. So with regard to this chart, it is purely an imagery chart. However, if you go back and let's say contours, let's look at vector data now. We're going to go to our contours. Now this is primarily purely vector data. Okay, this is contours and isobaths. When you zoomed out, you're going to get this type of scenario. We're going to turn our chart. That wasn't default. Default is actually full. And what we're looking at here is chart detail. You see I selected this chart detail. I changed it. Mine was on low. I've changed it now to full. And look what happens. Look at the difference. What it does is it tries to unclutter the screen for you. There's a time to have it on full, and there's a time to have it on low. We're going to start with full, which is the default. It's got all the names around the dam, but you'll see at some point those names will disappear as you zoom out. There we go, and all that's left is our primary Inanda Dam, which are obviously set to show us it from a very far zoom. So we're going to zoom in. There's our information there, and as you zoom in, you'll see the contours start to come to life, and yeah, all is good. Now I just want to understand, I want you to understand what is happening even under something that doesn't have imagery. There's no photo overlay. Can you see the photo overlay on the right hand side of the screen is in gray? That means there's no imagery for a chart source named contours. So for this one that you see on this list here, contours, it has no imagery. It only has vector data, which is your isobaths. The isobaths are these colors that you see, the blues and the yellows and oranges and the reds and all that. Those are your isobath colors, and then you've got your contours. But look what happens when we zoom in. See, the contours become sharper and clearer. But look at the contour interval. You've got from 78 feet to 81 feet. That means there's a 3-foot interval. If you're dealing with very deep water with very sharp drop-offs, yes, 3-foot intervals is good enough. But when you cruise out onto the flats, if you go to an area that has large flats, let's go out here. Let me zoom out. Okay, that information is not good enough. When you're dealing with flats, You're looking for very subtle changes. You need 1 foot intervals when you're dealing with flats. And all you do there is you zoom in. If it starts to become too cluttered, you say, no, that's still too cluttered, I want to zoom in closer before it kicks in. You can actually turn that down. You can turn that to low. And can you see what happened? You've zoomed in a lot closer now to the area that you're targeting, but you've turned off the 1 foot intervals. These are major contours. Those gray little lines that you see are minor contours. The major contours here have a 3 foot interval. The minor contours have a 1 foot interval. But if you zoom in, even on low, keep going, and there they appear. When we're at a range ring range of 150 and a little scale range on the bottom of 50 feet. So you've got some really great information there, and learn how to use that and how to understand it. But let's go to categories now. Let's see what options do we get under categories. We've got point data. Let's see what happens when we turn point data off. I don't know if you noticed what happened there. Put that on full. We are seeing, I've turned point off, we are seeing less contour numbers, you know, the depth representation, we're seeing less of those, but the names of the various bays and all that are gone. So if we go to categories and we turn point back on, there's all the names. So remember, point data, this point data that you see, the bottom one here, you've got area, depth, area nautical, line nautical, point nautical. Point is things like are information points, like the names that I've given bays. Where I've geo-referenced photographs, when you want to link to a photograph and view the photo for that area where that photograph was taken on your chart, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, you're going to need point. That is your point data. Just want to see who's joined us here. No, we're still the same. We're looking good. Guys, if there's any problems with the audio or anything like that, please let me know. On my audio tracker meter, whatever you want to call it, looks like the audio is going fine. So yeah, all seems good. Right, so we were talking about point data. That is your names and your photographs. But what happens when we turn off area, depth area? Let's turn that off. I'm going to turn that off. Now this is your isobaths. This is how you turn your isobaths off. Did you see what actually happened there? You've now got a sort of a mustard color for land, and you've just got white for water, and then with the contours on top of it. This reminds me very much of a sediment chart. Let's have a look at the sediment. Okay, there's your sediment chart. Let's zoom in. You see with the white background, can you see how it's very, very similar? But guys, there's something I want to point out with, particularly with Inanda Dam. Inanda Dam has one of the best sediment charts in the country. Some of the sediment charts in the country are absolutely shocking. They are terrible. But Inanda has a very, very good sediment chart. The guy who did the Inanda sediment chart was a pure artist. I think I've repeated this many times before. I'm sure some of you will remember me whining about some of the quality of the sediment charts around the country. Obviously, you get people that come in that take great pride in their work and are very passionate about their work, and then you get others that just purely come in, click that thing, go home, buy a 6-pack of beer, and dread the following day. Shame. Fricky says all is good. Thanks, Fricky. Awesome, everything's working fine. Let's go back to contours. Okay, so now what we've done is we were talking about the categories, and we've turned off the depth area. What happens if we turn off the nautical? What happens then? Now there's no definition between land and water whatsoever. It's just contour data. In fact, we can even turn off the point data, and there you have it. It is just contours, nothing else whatsoever. But for now, let's turn them all back on. And why do we do it? Because it looks pretty and it's easier to read at a glance. I'm going to pause right here with regard to this reading at a glance. Guys, I know this is going to be a slight deviation from our planned thing tonight. You'll get screenshots that get posted on social media and forums and whatnot. And they usually come after a weekend and everyone's got these high definition smart devices and tablets and computers and all this. And they'll sit there, you know, between work, whatnot, and really study some of the things. And they go, ah, that's a secondary point with some rocks on it. Or, oh, yes, I can see the stumps and whatnot. You've been sitting there for half an hour looking at that in the comfort of your office or home or whatever, classroom or whatever it might be, and you see these things. When you're out on the water and you're dealing with the elements, you're dealing with the sun, you're dealing with the rod in your hand, which is your primary thing you should be doing, information must come to you at a glance. You must not have to sit there, take your rod, put your rod down and get a cold drink and sit for 10 minutes and look at your screen. If you have to do that with your chart plotter, you are not fishing. Give up fishing. You're done with fishing. You're doing something else now. When you want to fish, this information must come to you easy. Back to the charts. Use the colors. The colors are awesome. The colors, you don't have to go and read 12 feet, 16 feet. Just know I must be in orange. Dark orange, light orange, yellow, whatever. That's the range that you must be in, and stick to that. And then it's easy. You can see, oh, I'm drifting out of this color. Let me get back into it. We're going to talk about that a little bit further just now. But yeah, we're talking about information at a glance. With regard to the contours, I don't think there's anything else that we can really talk about. We're not going to talk about the depth filter and that. Don't even waste your time playing with it. I've tried to turn it into something that we can use and whatnot, and as hard as I've tried to turn it into something we can use, we can't use it. We're going to do what you think it does in a different way just now, but I will explain that shortly. Okay, let's go back. We were talking about contours. So the contour chart, I think everybody understands now what it does, and that's what you can expect from a FishTec chart. Again, you will note with a FishTec chart, very often there are areas that are not covered. Okay. With the latest stuff that's done now, the only areas of a dam that is not covered will be areas where, when I was there, the dam was too low. Rudderkoppies was low. De Hoop was nearly full. It was only 1 meter down. So it's 3 feet from being 100% full. So that's a great one. Zanin was low. So the shore, all that shore stuff is missing. But that is what FishTec updates are all about. That is why we offer the service of updates. Are we going to go in 3 years' time, go and remap it and come back to you and say, oh, would you like all this new data? You say, oh, yeah, yes, please. That's another 3,400 Rand. No. You pay 1,000 Rand per year for all your charts, whether you own one chart or every single FishTec chart there is. And whenever there's an update available for a chart, you just pay for the courier to me and back to you. Or if you're passing by, pop in, make an appointment, swap your charts out, and you get the latest updated charts. Even at such a point that, let's say, the technology changes and a different type of memory device comes out for whatever reason, that will be part of your free update. And for that service, you pay 1,000 Rand for a 12 months subscription, which I think is a great deal. It's effort. It takes a lot of effort from our side to update the charts and give you the best relevant stuff, and we'd like to do it completely free, but I haven't hit the lotto. I can't afford it. I need somebody to pay for my time, and that's where the subscription money comes in. So yeah, expect blank areas. If it's an absolutely critical area and you think, no, come on, this has been like this, the water's come up, and why isn't this area being covered and whatnot, by all means, please, if you own a FishTec chart, send me a mail and make a formal thing of it. Say, I'm formally notifying you that we need this area. There's been water there now for quite some time, and I haven't seen an update. Please, can you make a plan and get that sorted out? And we will definitely put that with an exclamation on our to-do list. So please, we need that feedback from you. If you tell your brother, your sister, or your gardener about it and you complain to him, they can do nothing about it. I need to know about it. So please don't hold back there, but be reasonable. Don't be silly. I do get some silly requests sometimes, but yeah, so we've dealt with that. The next layer, because remember, all these things down the side here are layers. The next layer that we want to have a look at, we've looked at the contours, we've looked at the sediment. There was our sediment. I just want to have a look what categories we have on sediment. No, there's no contours there. This sediment is what's known as a hybrid. What I've done here is I've taken the satellite imagery background for the shoreline of the dam, and I've placed it in the correct position onto the sediment chart. Now the problem with the sediment chart is the guys that originally bought them was this massive big white piece of paper that it was very difficult to read because you didn't know where the shoreline was. That was the single biggest problem with the old sediment charts. You had no idea where the shoreline was. With our FishTec charts, that is a thing of the past. You know where the shoreline is, as you can see here. But people say, yeah, but it's just contours. No. Let me tell you, a sediment chart has so much more information. You see all these little red spots here? These are man-made things. The blue is where the channels are. But people, things like this, when you see things like this, you see these little dotted lines here, those are footpaths. And then you can see the bigger roads. I'll put a dead center. There's like a T-junction thing here which got to a very busy area. This used to be a very good fishing spot here. I used to really enjoy fishing this particular spot. Would get a little bit deep when the dam was full, but this was a great spot. And what contributed to this? Let's take that for example. You've got old foundations there. Obviously the buildings are all gone by now, but you've got the foundations there. You've got a little footpath there. Footpaths and Inanda, very, very valuable. So remember, sediment charts, do not forget about them. You might get to an area and you say, John, there's no contours here or whatever. Go back to your sediment charts. You're going to find some information there. Mid-Mar, have a look at that. Anyway, so that pretty much, the sediment chart is a very, very basic chart. It's basically just a photo overlay chart. If I turn it off, there's nothing. You can go land only. It doesn't do anything. Okay, there we go. So there's not too much to learn about the sediment charts. Let me just have a look here. Jeff Kramer. Jeff says, maybe off topic, how do you change the color for different depths? Jeff, I think, yeah, there we go. Fricky actually said it. The colors are there. Each isobath represents a different color. I know the Hummingbird has a feature where you can highlight whichever depth range with a color. I was going to talk about this later, but seeing that Jeff has brought it up, let's talk about it right now. You want to concentrate on an area and you want to highlight with a color just for that range. Let's do that. Let's do that. Where's somewhere that we can all... Let's take my old favorite. This is Grants Bay. Grants Bay is very interesting. It's a multi-feeder bay. It's got a couple of feeders. You can see there's a feeder coming in from the northeast. There's another feeder coming in from dead north. You've got rocks. You see these looks like little hashes all over the place. These are all rocks. And then you've got a road, a major road coming in there. There's some footpaths around there, and there's multiple channels as they split into a Y right here. So yeah, this is an interesting spot. Let's have a look. But now you want to target a specific depth range. Okay, so let's go to, let's use our aerial HD. Guys, aerial HD is effectively, oh, you see I was playing with it earlier, and now it's given the whole thing away. It caught me. Okay, I was playing with this earlier. This chart here, aerial HD, is what I've done with the drone. If you take this area here, we zoom in there. Let's have a look what it looks like with the satellite. We look at it with the satellite. Can you see that there's rocks there? Guys, if you know the dam and somebody, and just for a brief moment, somebody told you, you know, on this, there's rocks over there, it'll be stored into memory and you will recognize the rocks there. If you did not know this area from Adam, there's a good chance you could say, those could be rocks. But could they be something else as well? Yes, they could. You cannot confirm it 100% what that is. After you know what it is, then it's easy. It's rocks. But when you don't know, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. I'll show you another example just now. But aerial HD is the data that is captured with the drone. So if we zoom in there with the drone data, you can see clearly that these are rocks. If we change to the elevation view, which is your light distance ranging, you can clearly see which are the bigger rocks and which are the smaller rocks. Clear as day. So let's go back to satellite. This is what everybody else is using except for Garmin. Garmin only uses their own personal charts, and they've bought Navionics, so they've only got Navionics. Hummingbird does, if you buy AutoChart Pro, I think it's about, I don't know what it costs now, to be honest. And then you buy the cards. If you buy a blank little card, it's called the Zero Lines. They're about 1,800 Rand each to put your data on. You can take satellite imagery and put on there, but you can only put one image on a card, one per dam. So every time you go to a different dam, you've got to put a new one on. So just keep that in mind. Whereas with the FishTec HD charts, you simply tap on aerial where the aerial HD is available. Remember, it's only available in certain areas. At Inanda, for example, that's our type of coverage with the drone around the dam. There's 65 kilometers of shoreline on Inanda. I've probably got about 55 kilometers of shoreline covered with the drone. So yeah, because I live here, so that one's obviously very well covered. Otherwise, other dams, if I see there's just a big long flat patch of grass and nothing, I don't bother putting the drone up. It's too much time, it's too much effort, and there's nothing there. Right, so now let's go back to what Jeff said. Jeff says, yes, want to fish, say, under 10 feet depth. Okay, so what do? What you can do is, we're going to go back. I love this when the guys are interacting like this. Jeff, thank you very much. The oaks are very quiet and the oaks are very shy. But then again, these oaks that are on here know my charts well. Fricky knows them backwards. So he knows my charts very, very well. Jeff says he wants to fish less than 10 foot. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the view button. We're going to go to your categories, but now remember, you've got to compensate for what depth we are at. Let's say you know for a fact. Now guys, this you've got to be very, very careful here. Can you see how I'm just turning on these lines by tapping on it like that? Now look at your screen. You can't actually see where my hand is on the screen, but I'm on this area, the one just above it. I'm going to tap on the one just above it. No, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do the very top one. I'm going to turn it off. We're dealing with the very top one. You see the one that is highlighted? Area, depth area. Next to area, okay, it's not a checkbox. You take your thumb and you put your thumb on the edge of the display. You're not on the display, you're on the plastic frame of the display. And then you very gently slide your finger in and you push the down button. Can you see what just happened there? You've now got all these different ranges that you can turn on. Put it next to it, it goes away. The other thing that you can do if you don't want to play around with this touch on the right hand side, your cursor pad, if you're using a Gen 3 or a Carbon, you don't have this on the Elite TI, so you've got to depend on the touch on the Elite TI. But if you're using a Carbon or a Gen 3, you can go to your cursor pad and hit the right button, hit the right cursor, and it will bring up this. So Jeff said he wants to fish in under 10 feet. So what we're going to do is, let's see what 12 to 15. There's 12 to 15. Trying to find that sort of 10-foot range. 15, 21, 3 to 6, 6 to 9. Okay, 6 to 9 feet. That's pretty close. Let's turn that on. Let's see what happens. Okay, Jeff, that is now your 6 to 9 foot range. So you say you want to fish 10 foot. You're going to be just inside of that. Okay. But here's the problem. Let's say you want to fish the 6 to 9 foot range. You want to fish 6.629, but now you've gone and covered it. Now you can't see what is there, what you're trying to fish. So what do? You're going to say, right, we need to highlight to 5. So we're going to block off the 0.3. We want to go up to 5 feet that we want to block. 3 to 6. We're going to block that. And then we want to go after 9. 6 to 9 is the one that we want to see. So we're going to turn that off, because that's the band that we want to see what is there. And then the 9 to 12 we're going to turn on again. You can turn on as many as you want, but what we're trying to create by doing that is creating a corridor where we can work. So somebody comes to you and says, Jeff, from 6 to 9 feet depth, look for rock piles. So what do? You turn on the ISO bath before it, you turn on the ISO bath after it, and now you take your chart, your FishTec chart, zoom in nice and close, and just go and look. Where's the rocks? There's little things there, there's little weeds, nothing too exciting there. There we go. Bang. Can you see that? There's your rocks. That's what you want to target. In that depth range that you've specified, you target the rocks. Look how fast this is to identify. And then, of course, don't be shy. Put that there, hit your waypoint button and create a waypoint icon right there. Let me just make sure I've got my waypoints turned on. Chart, waypoints. No, I've got my waypoints off. Let's turn them on. So then we're going to hit our waypoint button, which is the little flag on our screen. Change your icon to the rocks. And we're going to say save. Look at that. How easy is that for your planning? Remember, don't learn your charts on the water. Learn your charts at home, sitting in the comfort of your home, with a battery, using a smart device via the Wi-Fi app. It's called Link. You can talk to it. Let's just see. Jeff, that is awesome. Thank you. Always this. Fantastic. Only a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for bringing that up. So what I'm saying is, you know, Jeff brought this topic up of this depth range, and then you very quickly, you know, you just go through the whole dam. You can do 65 kilometers quite quickly. Oh, look at this, guys. Who knows Inanda when it's full and fishes these spots? You drop that waypoint on there very, very, very quickly. That's a phenomenal spot. There's some more rocks there. Look how fast it is. We're just scrolling. So yeah, it's an awesome tool. Now, heads up. Someone has told you 6 to 9 feet and the dam is dropped. What do you do now? The chart is calculated at 100%. Even when I go and map a dam that was very low at the time, I calculate exactly how far in feet that dam was down. I compensate for it in my charts, and that is the depth. So when that dam is 100%, when the water is lapping over the dam wall, those charts will be 100% accurate. But what happens if, let's say, the dam is down by 20, let's say the dam's down by 15 feet, okay? Straight away, 12 to 15 feet is not even in play. 0 to 3 is not in play. So the dam's down by 15 feet. So we're immediately going to turn those isobaths on. We can't fish those areas. It's a complete no-go. 15 to 18 feet has got water, but it's only 3 feet. The guys said to us 6 to 9 feet. That's where the fish are. So let's take 15 plus 6. We're on 21. 21 to 25. That's the sort of depth that we want to be in. That is what we want to check. So we're going to go to the 18 to 21. We're going to turn that on there. We're going to turn that on there. And it's no, 18 to 21 is the one that we actually want to view. So we want to turn the isobath up to 18 feet, and then we want to turn the isobaths on after the 21 feet, because 18 minus, yes, there we go. Okay, let's have a look what that looks like. Now, remember, the dam is down by 15 feet, but we still only want to target 6 to 9 feet depth. Now, there it is. And we're looking for the same thing. We're looking for rocks in that depth range. Boom, there they are now. Do you want to confirm what that depth is? We can go to your categories, turn your lines on. There we go. In your 21 to 18 feet, remember, the dam's down by 15 feet. So now no, it's actually the next one. Sorry, my apologies. It's actually the 21 to 24 that we want to fish. Ah, Mr. Maths. Well done, Bobby. 21 to 24. My apologies. It's a long day. You guys must have been thinking, eh, this sucks, maths sucks, eh? There it is. Okay, now we're in business. Right. 21 to 24. The dam is down by 15 feet. Now we're targeting that 6 to 9 foot range. If you go here now and the dam is down by 15 feet and you put your boat spot there on that 21 foot mark there, you are only going to be in 6 feet of water. But this is what we're after. But look at this beautiful little window that we've created using our isobaths. Let me see. Reinhard, he says, yes, Jeff, great question. Yeah, Jeff, thank you. That's the exact type of thing that I love seeing. We don't see it too often. We need to see more of it. I think guys are shy. Look, a lot of the guys do know this stuff and they don't want to act like smart Alex like I do. But, yeah, it's a learning curve for all of us. So I thank you for that. Oops, I've lost you guys there. How did that happen? And I've lost my mouse. There we go, found my mouse. Okay, so this is how we use and manipulate features, categories. Sorry, you see, I'm even getting it wrong. Tap there. Turning on the isobaths to help you. We're back to the old story of information at a glance. What we just did now is a fantastic tool to sit at home and work out those key spots that we want to target when we're at the dam next. You can be 1,000 miles away. You just need somebody to tell you what depth that dam is at the moment. If you can't get that information, your first day there, you get that information as fast as possible. And that evening when you come off the water, sit with your charts and study them. So please try and get that information as early as possible so you can do that. And this here of turning on the isobaths and highlighting certain areas for you is certainly absolutely key. Let's have a look. I'm going to turn on the point data as well here. So let's say you pull into this area here, and you'll see the only thing that has changed now when I turned on the point data is you see these little numbers that have popped up here. This I421. This is imagery. In this case, some is taken from the water, from water level while I was on the boat. Others is taken with the drone from the air. And you can see, looking into that little inlet there. You remember we said with Grants Bay how it splits into a Y. That left-hand little inlet there, you see there's a little bit of timber there on the ground. Guys, unfortunately, when the dams have been as low as they have been now, you'll see a lot of my charts will show timber like this. The chance of that timber still being there is very, very remote, because it gets taken, because it gets dry, and it gets burnt as firewood. So I wouldn't put too much weight into the use of that. If you go past and you've double checked it with your side scan when you drove past and you saw the timber is still there, what a bonus. Okay, and this information that you've got here, let's just understand this point data a little bit better. Remember, we're going back to categories. This is your point data. It's right at the bottom here, point nautical. These are your names and your photos, your panoramic images. For Inanda, for example, there's about, I think there's nearly 4,000 photographs around the whole dam, showing various bits and pieces. There's just so much. This is obviously taken from the land, looking into Grants Bay. There's a multitude of imagery here. But the most important thing to understand is, what do those numbers mean? Where do I find them? Where do I turn them on and off? Etc., etc. Okay. How are we doing time-wise? 1952. That can't be right. I can't believe that, really. That is absolutely incredible. Quickly, now I've got to move. We know how good the aerial HD is. The old Accept T's and C's was before I even knew how to use the mapping software to stitch imagery together. The dam wasn't too low by then, so it was geo-referenced images, single images taken from the sky. Not so great, but a lot of guys, I took these. If you see an old chart of mine, an old FishTec chart that says Accept T's and C's, it was actually the old original drone imagery. I originally took it off, and a lot of guys came back to me and they said, no, we're not going to tell you why, but please put it back. There's some very, very valuable information there. So I've put it back. I don't know what they're seeing that I'm not seeing, but obviously there's some value there. My later charts will not have this. It's purely called Aerial HD. Okay, the big one, the one that everybody buys the charts for. This is the old original mosaic. You'll see this was done very carefully back in the day. It was just done with the old Lawrence with the Lawrence system. I think it was done with the LSS 2 or LSS 1, LSS 2, I think back then. and you can see the type of information that we get there with regard to these rocks and the channels. And of course, by now you guys know that these shadows are your trees. Very difficult to see standing timber themselves, but the shadows tell us everything about what it is. We're not going to explain how mosaics work. That's not what tonight is all about. But again, how does the chart work? If you get to this and you've selected mosaic and there's nothing there, this means that the imagery was turned off. You must remember to turn it on. So we're going to go back to full. But now you're sitting at home, you're busy planning, you're looking for certain things at certain depths. Don't you wish there was depth data here? There is. Just turn it on. Line nautical. Boom, there's your lines. Take your chart detail down so it doesn't get too cluttered. Now you know exactly. Let's say the dam is down by 15 feet. You know 15 feet is now 0, and then you compensate all the way down. So if you're out here at 33 feet, you know at a contour depth of 33 feet, if the dam's down by 15 feet, you are now at a depth of 18 feet. Okay, so if you want to be 15 feet, actual 15 feet depth, you're going to be targeting your 30-foot range. Can we turn our various isobaths on? Yes, you can do exactly the same thing once again. Let's turn the lines off so it doesn't get too cluttered. We're going to do our sneaky little touch on the side of the screen. And let's say we want to do that 15 to 18 foot range. So we're going to turn on 12 to 15. And we want the 18 to 21 we want to turn on to create that range. And there it is there. So all we do now is, in that desired depth, we just follow that around the edge and we target key structure just by simply turning on depth data. A lot of times when you get the charts, everything is on like that and you will get that. And everybody says to me, but my photo overlay is on and there's nothing happening. Remember, the photo imagery is the very last thing at the back. In front of that comes isobaths, and then on top of that comes contours, which is your line data, and then on top of that comes your point data. So effectively, a chart is layered as follows: point, line, area, photo imagery. So if you get a chart and looks like this and you've turned your photo overlay on, just go back, go to your categories, turn the top 3 off, and turn your photo overlay to full. Boom, and there it is. And that basically is how the charts work. Just want to see. And then of course we've got, I've just done a very brief using the ultra high frequency hummingbird. I just zooted through here a little while ago. It's not a very well done chart. It was just a pass. It was a rough pass through the area just to give us a little bit of definition. And as you can see, it is very clear data that we get with the ultra high frequency side scan. Guys, as you know, how we're doing time wise, I can't believe it, 3 minutes. Geez, we're in trouble. You know, the problem is I'm learning so much about mapping all the time. In between fighting with Saba, yes, that is a part-time thing that I do. But what I'm really doing, the most important thing I'm doing now, other than looking after my family with my real business, is I'm trying to create a tool that as technology improves and as our skills as mappers, as cartographers improve, I want to create the tool to quickly go back and recollect that data in a better, more accurate and more effective manner. That is my goal. That is my ultimate mission. Yes, I sell Lawrence's, which is really Colleen, that's my wife. That's primarily more her side of the business. I call it the necessary evil. I'm not a smose. I don't like being a smose. I like working with my hands and creating things and that type of thing, but we got to pay the bills, unfortunately. And that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create the tool that we can quickly go and recollect that data and create better charts. So it's something that's never going to stop growing to get better and better and better. But the tool we need, the biggest problem we have today is time. If all of you guys never had a family, never had a job, had this massive trust fund lying somewhere, or you hit the lotto, or you came into a chunk of money for some amazing thing that you did at some point of your life, and you can just go and fish, you're going to become a fantastic fisherman. You're going to. But today, that is the problem. We don't have the time. We are all so busy with our lives, with our businesses. What we should be doing, we should be paying the lights. Soweto, they don't. But we should be paying the lights. We should be working. We should be looking after our families. But we want to fish. But time is a problem. Guys, these charts, FishTec charts, this is what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to give people the opportunity to go to the dam. When they do arrive at the dam, when they get that golden opportunity to be on the water, I want them to be as informed as possible. If you study your charts properly, compared to how the guys used to do it in the old days, you can take what used to take the likes of people like Gavin Richardson, Julian van Zydam, and these guys that spent 10, 15 years collecting data. You can take that 15 years of data collection and bang it into a week studying these charts. That is what FishTec HD charts is all about. And that is my goal, is to also level the playing field from that perspective, from a structure cover perspective. And you know what's going to happen? The real true fishermen are going to come out. Not the guy that's got the secret spot or this thing, the secret thing, or this brush pile that he put somewhere. It's going to come down to fishing. Real fishing skills, because everybody's got the same sort of information regarding structure and cover. And I think there's a place for that, and I think it's great for the sport, but that's just my opinion. I don't think everybody will agree with me, but I really do think we will start seeing a new kind of fisherman and a better kind of fisherman with this type of information being available. Guys, we've come to the end of the show. So let me just put this in there and put that over there. There we go. That's probably making a big noise now in the background. Let's see. I don't know. That probably made a big noise in the background when I did that. I actually turned the wrong thing on. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope you found it informative. I know it seems a little bit complicated, but remember, chart options, view, categories, and get comfortable with those categories and those little secret buttons on the side that expand, that give you those options. Go through all the charts. Like I said, not all the charts are the same, but get comfortable, get to know the individual charts. Even if you need to, make a note, get a notepad out and make certain notes for you as a reference guide when you're on the water. Do not complicate your lives on the water. When you're on the water, it's a golden opportunity. You're away from the family, you're away from the business, you're on the water to fish. Go and fish and have information coming at you, not you scratching through something trying to find information. This information must be just there, feeding you with information. You will become a better fisherman. The results will be clear, and yeah, I think it's good for everybody. So guys, thank you very much, everybody that joined me this evening. Once again, Jeff, thank you for your comments, and everybody else. And guys, I will see you at season 2 episode 8 next month in September. Thank you, everybody. Sure, my voice was going right then and there, so it's good time. Everybody have a great evening. Thanks for joining me.